In 58 BCE, Julius Caesar launched the first campaign of his Gallic wars against the Helvetii, a Celtic tribe from modern-day Switzerland. Facing pressure from Germanic incursions and a growing population, the Helvetii, along with several allied tribes, decided to migrate westward into Western Gaul, seeking more fertile lands. This migration posed a threat to Roman interests, as it could destabilize the balance of power in Gaul, weaken Rome's allies, and potentially invite further tribal movements into Roman allied territory. The Helvetii, numbering approximately 368,000 people, including 92,000 warriors, planned to travel through Roman allied territory in Provence. To do so, they formally requested permission from Caesar to pass through Transalpine Gaul. Caesar, aware of the potential threat, refused their request. To prevent their movement, he ordered the destruction of the Rhone bridge near Geneva and built fortifications along the Rhone River to block their advance. Forced to find another route, the Helvetii moved northward through the lands of the Sequani and Aedui, both of whom were nominally Roman allies but were too weak to resist. Seeing the Helvetii's advance as an opportunity to assert Roman dominance in Gaul, Caesar gathered 6 legions and pursued them. After several weeks of maneuvering and skirmishes, the Helvetii, running low on supplies, attempted to retreat. Caesar intercepted them near Bibracte, the stronghold of the Aedui, and engaged them in battle. The Helvetii initially launched an aggressive attack, relying on their dense formations and sheer numbers to overwhelm the Romans. However, the discipline and organization of Caesar's legions allowed them to withstand the assault. Caesar ordered a counterattack, steadily pushing the Helvetii back. As the battle progressed, the Roman forces gained the upper hand, forcing the Helvetii to break and flee. A smaller contingent of warriors attempted to make a last stand but was ultimately overwhelmed. Following their defeat, the Helvetii surrendered. Out of the 368,000 people who had begun the migration, Caesar claimed that only 110,000 survived. Instead of allowing them to settle elsewhere, he forced them to return to their original lands, ensuring they would no longer pose a threat. By doing so, he re-established the balance of power in Gaul, secured Rome's southern frontier, and demonstrated Roman military superiority. Caesar justified his actions to the Senate by portraying the Helvetii as a threat to Rome's allies, though in reality, his intervention was a strategic move to assert control over Gaul. The victory over the Helvetii was the first major success of his Gallic campaigns and set the stage for further conquests in the region. What if a Germanic warlord had stopped Julius Caesar before he conquered Gaul? Meet Ariovistus, the king who dared to challenge Rome. With the Helvetii defeated, Caesar turned his attention to Ariovistus, a Germanic king of the Suebi. Originally invited into Gaul as an ally of certain Gallic tribes, Ariovistus had since taken control of eastern Gaul, settled 120,000 Germans in the region, forced the local Gauls to pay tribute, and threatened to bring even more Germanic warriors across the Rhine. The Aedui, a Roman-allied Gallic tribe, pleaded with Caesar for help. Seeing Ariovistus as a long-term threat, Caesar decided to act. Before engaging in battle, Caesar attempted diplomacy, sending envoys to negotiate with Ariovistus. The German king refused to meet on equal terms and dismissed Rome's authority in Gaul. When talks failed, Caesar mobilized his forces and led a rapid march toward Vesontio, modern Besancon, Ariovistus's stronghold. His troops, intimidated by the reputation of the Germans, feared they were invincible. To restore morale, Caesar delivered a speech emphasizing Roman superiority and discipline, successfully dispelling their fears. The two armies met near Mulhouse, close to the Vosges Mountains. The Germans, known for their formidable shield wall formations and shock charges, initially held their ground. However, Caesar's tactical superiority proved decisive. He ordered his legions to target the Germanic flanks while maintaining tight formations. After prolonged fighting, the Roman right wing broke through the Germanic lines, causing a rout. Ariovistus barely escaped across the Rhine, and thousands of his warriors were slaughtered in the retreat. With Ariovistus defeated, the Germanic threat was eliminated, securing Rome's hold over eastern Gaul. Ariovistus never returned to Gaul, and Caesar was hailed as a hero in Rome, further strengthening his political position. His success made the Gallic tribes view him as either a protector or a conqueror, setting the stage for further conflicts in the region. The first triumvirate ruled Rome, until betrayal and ambition destroyed it. Julius Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus formed an alliance to dominate Roman politics, bypassing the Senate's authority, but their partnership didn't last. Crassus, the richest man in Rome, sought military glory to match his wealth. In 53 BCE, he led a disastrous invasion of Parthia, where his army was annihilated at the Battle of Carrhae. Crassus was captured and executed, supposedly by having molten gold poured down his throat, his greed becoming his downfall. With his death, the balance of power between Caesar and Pompey crumbled. Pompey, once Caesar's ally, became increasingly wary of his growing power. The death of Julia, Caesar's daughter and Pompey's wife, in 54 BCE severed their personal bond. As Caesar continued his conquests in Gaul, Pompey drifted toward the Senate's side, portraying himself as Rome's sole legitimate leader. In 52 BCE, he became sole consul, a clear sign that he was abandoning their alliance. In 49 BCE, the triumvirate was dead. The Senate, under Pompey's influence, ordered Caesar to disband his legions and return to Rome as a private citizen. Knowing this would mean his political destruction, or worse, Caesar refused. Instead, he led his army across the Rubicon River, declaring war on Pompey and the Senate, sparking a civil war that would change Rome forever. 49 BCE. Julius Caesar faces a momentous decision. The Rubicon River stands before him, the final boundary between peace and war. To cross it with his army is to defy the Senate, to declare civil war against Rome itself. With unwavering resolve, he speaks the fateful words, "Alea ae acta est." The die is cast. As he marches south, city after city stands in his path. Some resist, expecting brutality. But Caesar does not sack or burn. He grants mercy, winning loyalty instead of leaving ruin. Meanwhile, panic grips Rome. The Senate, fearing Caesar's advance, abandons the city. Led by Pompey the Great, they flee to Greece, gathering their forces for a decisive confrontation. The Republic stands on the edge of chaos. The fate of Rome will soon be decided. January 49 BC, Julius Caesar crosses the Rubicon. Rome is his. Pompey and the Senate flee to Greece, but before Caesar can pursue, he must secure the west. He marches through Gaul, crosses the Alps in winter, and by summer he reaches Spain. Pompey's generals resist, but after weeks of siege at Ilerda, they surrender. By autumn, Spain belongs to Caesar. With the west secure, he returns to Rome, seizes the treasury, and prepares for the final campaign. January 48 BC, Caesar crosses the Adriatic with just 15,000 men, outnumbered, outsupplied, but undeterred. The final battle with Pompey is near. Who will rule Rome? Pompey's allies are defeated. Only the man himself stands between Caesar and victory. Despite being outnumbered, Caesar takes a desperate gamble. He crosses the Adriatic in winter with only half his army, stranded without supplies. But through deception and bold maneuvers, he reunites his forces just in time. The decisive moment comes at Pharsalus. Pompey commands 45,000 men, including a powerful cavalry force, against Caesar's 22,000 veteran legionaries. Confident in victory, Pompey orders his cavalry to outflank and crush Caesar's right wing. But Caesar is ready. He's hidden 3,000 elite troops behind his lines. As Pompey's cavalry charges, Caesar's men strike with deadly precision, throwing them into chaos. With Pompey's cavalry broken, Caesar seizes the moment and launches a full counterattack. The discipline and experience of Caesar's legions overwhelm Pompey's army. Panic spreads, the lines collapse, and Pompey flees the battlefield. Hunted and desperate, Pompey sails to Egypt, seeking refuge, only to be betrayed and assassinated on Pharaoh's orders. With his greatest rival dead, Caesar stands victorious. Rome is his.